All right, well, for those of you that don't know me, I'm Holly Teasel. I'm the director here at the library, and I want to thank all of you for coming. This is very exciting for us to be able to show you the design for our new library. It's been a long time coming, and a lot of people have worked really hard for us to get here. So we are very excited. We obviously, as most of you know, we won at the ballot in November of 22. And immediately after that, we went out for a proposal for architects. And in February of this year, we selected Quinn Evans Architects, the lovely people who actually we worked with prior to winning at the ballot. They did all of our pre-work for that. And we were very happy to have them come on and work on the library itself. And they'll introduce themselves as they come up. And go through all of the designs that we've been working on this spring. So I am going to ask, so we are tonight, basically, we're talking about the design of the new facility. We're not really talking about programs or services that might happen at the new library. We're pretty much talking about the building design. But if anybody would like to talk to me about programs and services, always reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to talk to anybody about it. But tonight we're going to focus on the design. I think we'll probably ask you to keep questions till the end, and we can address them at that time. And as we're monitoring through Zoom, Marge will probably read through some questions that come through the chat. So thanks everybody for coming, and I'm going to turn it over to Anna.
Sure. Good evening. I'm Ann Nocher, principal, Quinn Evans Architects, and I lead our library design practice here in Michigan and the Midwest. And we've been working here in the township for quite a while, and I'm really thrilled to be at this point in the process with the design moving forward. We'll give a timeline here in just a minute. At the end of this presentation, we have about a half an hour of items to go through and talk through and show that we're excited about showing you. And then we have some information, a short survey to solicit some comments on that is up here, but it will also be emailed, the links to fill that out to everyone who has registered, and it'll all be on the library website as well, so that whether you're here in person or not, you'll be able to participate, give feedback on some things, and also look at some QR codes that take you in to look sort of 3D around at the views of where we are in the design process, a lot of which we'll show you this evening. We're working with technology when I shared that screen, it did not like share. So I just did I mean, if we're just doing duplicate, we should be fine if you're it's not like so. All right. People at home, we are working so that we can be showing you and the full house here at the library this evening. And also tonight it's Lindsay Sardini, project manager at Quinn Evans, and Yao Mom, who's an architect here. And we also have Aaron with us, who has been with us this summer as a student from UVM, who's going to continue to work with us on all the continues on his degree. And then also to recognize that we are a full service architecture, interiors, and furnishings firm, but we are working with Peter Basso Associates on the mechanical, electrical, and plumbing side. Silman are structural engineers, and CES works a lot with the township with the civil engineers on the project. So the library site Some people most people are probably familiar with where it is. It has a banner up saying this was the proposed future site. We went through a lot of work from 2016 on in clearing down sites and finding this spot. So we're right at Milford Road and 11 Mile.
Okay.
All right, hopefully those at home are seeing the library site.
You can answer yes.
Yes.
Answer yes.
Yes.
Yes, can see the site.
We like the answer yes. Same page. Maybe we can figure it out. It's a preview. So we'll leave it not in presentation mode, but I think big enough for people to see here as well. Library site, Milford Road and 11 Mile, where we're focused on. And the big idea we wanted to present, we really look at our projects and talk to our clients and focus on what's key in this project for this community. And here, what we've heard about the library and the culture of the library that we really want to do this is creating this as a welcoming place that serves the community. And so the characteristics we're looking for are open and bright seating, dedicated spaces for children, teens, adults, reading and exploration. So making a good home for all those places in the new library. And in thinking about the design, we've really heard that the design people are looking for to reflect and take inspiration from the rural legacy of the township and the surrounding natural features and wetlands and what's here that has been attractive to people. And they want to see that and how that can be reflected in the architecture of the building. So tonight we're going to talk about these things from what we've heard. Space that reflects community needs, place reflecting community character, and then a site for community activity. So those are the three sections that we'll go through and look at this evening. So the first, talking about space that reflects community needs. And looking at, we're really going forward with what's going to happen. What are the spaces within the library? What's the interior of the library? What's going to happen there? So this is a plan. We have one up here as well for people to look at after and as part of the activity. But key to this are the spaces that happen, as we said, distinct for the events, youth, teen, adult, and the staff as well. So we have a series of images talking about what's going to be happening inside and out. These are not renderings of your library project. These are photographs from other library projects that we have worked with to give you an idea of those spaces and that character and what's going to happen in the library. So there are going to be reading areas that are indoor and outdoor reading areas. There'll be table seating, lounge seating, outdoor patio seating. So those are the types of spaces that we'll see within the library. We're also looking to incorporate study rooms. There's no study rooms now, and we see a big push for study rooms in libraries. That's what probably the future that we're most focused on adding when we renovate existing libraries, or to get more study room spaces in those. And so the design that we have prepared has 4 small study rooms, 1 medium study room, and 1 large study room space. Also looking at programs, we know the library here is very focused and staff dedicated to put on different types of events, all within the room that we are in now. And so how do we create a better home for these spaces and more space for them? So there's going to be a main Milford facing program room that will be dividable. So when it's a single room, can hold up to about 120 people. When it's divided, you get about 60 people you can have on each side. If you're setting it up like we have tonight here with chairs, lots of configurations and lots of storage for chairs and tables and activity pieces in that space. Then what we're calling the park facing program room is another dividable event space. They combined will fit up to about 100 people. Or just over 100, and that will look at being able to divide into two, really one area more focused as a maker space, and one area more focused as a youth story time area. Then a youth area that's separate and clear as a youth area with spaces for them to reading, studying, playing, and their collection there clearly marked as for them. Also teen spaces. That's another area that we're definitely expanding and dedicating within the libraries that we're looking at today for them, and so that they have their own space. They feel they can own. They can be a little louder, and they can put their gigs in. They have their books and media in, still close and connected to a library. And help them, but they're safe place to meet their friends. Genealogy, enhancing that space. We know that's a resource that's well used within this library, and so making sure we have that dedicated space as a room that people can come and use the materials there. And then in building a new library, we really don't new libraries today without considering drive up windows for pickup. Usually they're not staffed all the time. They're either as a buzzer on call or not. We saw with COVID, there was a huge increase in that demand of curbside pickup and drop off, and libraries, even in urban areas that were considering this before, we've been adding into those spaces. After hours, easy to return books this way as well. And then staff areas. It's a dedicated group working the library. We want to really give them space to do their work and to take a break when you have lunch. So looking at the staff areas. So here again is a plan of we are in the design of the library, staff space, drive up book drop, a welcoming entry, lobby, area for the friends, dividable event space, the adult reading and collections, the other dividable event space, youth and teen areas. So as we move into a place that reflects community character, these are going to be some images. There's sort of a pictorial here of views. These are going to be views that first we're going to take you around where we are in the design of the outside of the building, and then we'll take you through snapshots of where we are in the design on the inside of the building. These are snapshots of views from our model and what we put together. These have not been sent out for adding people and landscaping and high fit and polish. They're to give you an idea of where we are in the design, and we have some questions then to ask in our follow-up, hoping to get some more feedback in terms of your vision of the character of the spaces in the library. So to orient people, Milford Road is to the top of the page, because that's how the library fits better on the screens of presentation. I know. So that's why I want to stop and point out, Milford Road is to the top of the page. Turn your head. The entry will be coming in down along the left side, past the staff and mechanical area, with the drive up, drop off here. Parking, future park are off the screen to the bottom. So Your north is going sideways. But that gives you better, we can fill the page better. So first, we're gonna take a walk, starting from the main parking lot, looking at the entry, going around the building counterclockwise. And then we're gonna come into the building and look at some spaces in the building. So this starts to, as I say, you have an infinite horizon in these pictures, and we're focusing on.
Oh, Montana, okay.
On the moves to Montana here, but just to give a start on the sense of the building and the architecture and how this fits within in the community. Here you can see the drive up window and look slide to one side. The front big gable is part of the adult reading room and some of the collection space. And one of the things we did here is that, you know, we like a library that is welcoming, and this community feels like a welcoming is a little cozier of a feeling. We're coming in under a little lower of an entryway into a space that feels scaled, where I can have a conversation, not into a huge grand space. Looking at materials such as brick, looking at some wood and some metal products on the outside of the building. So as we move around the building, here is an glimpse into the northeast facing gable where there's public computing, reading areas, and then adult shelving. And this corner is the corner that has the youth program room and the makerspace inside of it. Moving around again, we're looking now into the corner back towards youth and towards the teen area. With, you can see on the one side an outdoor reading area that's facing Milford Road. We are set quite a ways back from Milford Road because of the wetlands. And so it's not like you're sitting right next to the road. So moving around in that same direction, we're getting more towards the Milford Road side. There's really your Milford Road view, more of your view as you come onto the site, driving onto the site with the largest available program room, outdoor reading, and then staff areas and mechanical areas, so it's more solid. Again, continuing to move around the building, we're starting to see where we have staff entry to the building. And the corner where we can see the edge of the drive when people are coming to the site. There gives you a sense, the staff entry, there will be a sidewalk to the staff entry. These are progress glimpses of coming around what we have in that, what we have given. There will also be a doorknob for the staff. Get into their building, but it gives you a sense of how that travel fits with. So now we've come into the building. So this is taking you've come through a vestibule, a more gracious vestibule than you have today, but to come in out of the weather and to come in again into the vestibule. We're looking at the main circulation desk. On the one side, straight ahead is that larger community event space. For people coming and just coming to events can come in and come straight through to that. And you can start to see maybe new books and some audio video collections on the side. We're carrying some of that wood feel in through the building to help understand the pathway, not just on the floor, but in the ceiling, and to bring some more into the building. Here's the view if we walked in and walked closer to the community event space, and we looked, compared that with left. If we looked left on that, we would be looking towards a sitting area that has shelving for friends book sale and storage room for that. the genealogy space, and then to the end, the staff areas. Looking the other direction, we're looking into the heart of the library with the youth straight ahead, the teen and makerspace, and the adult collections on either side there. Moving forward a few steps again, looking into the gable that faces the parking lot and the park. You can see the shelving. Holly says she's not gonna have all white books, but that's not appropriate. No white books. There's another white, but to start to see some seating, some public computing, and the entry from this side for that makerspace area. We're also hopefully not going to have big signs on all the walls, but we thought that would help guide and direct people to understand what they're looking for. They may be useful. We'll have some signage and graphics to make it clear where people are going through. Again, bringing in the wood into those gable areas to add some warmth to the spaces. So here, the window to your back is the parking lot. There's a really adult focused seating, reading, study, and public computing. We would expect periodicals would be in this collection. You know, there's fewer and fewer periodicals that come into the library, but nice spot to get stuff. Moving on again, you can see youth and teen and adult collections. This is turning and looking back towards the main desk. Where the green is, it's circulation, that's where the main desk is. Really, this wood spine takes you from the staff all the way through to these areas, splitting the adult area. And you can see we cut the shelving lower so that someone at that circulation desk just with sight lines all the way through to the youth area where we also. This is in the standing in the back in the youth area, peeking over shelving towards the teens. So we have sort of shelving, we don't have a hard wall between youth and teens, but we have a shelving wall there to have some privacy, but also to have the library spot, the librarian spot in the youth area, being able to look over and supervise what's happening in the teens. They have their own space, but they need to be used. Again, this is another one looking for more of the lower shelving communities area. This is in the adult area. On the other side, looking through to some study tables and out to a reading, outdoor reading. And looking at the four-person study groups. So again, this was our quick tour and photo key on that. We do have a plan up here that we can talk to the people in the room about, and all of this will be on the website as well. But we wanted to at least take this opportunity to give people a flavor of what those inside spaces will look like. We won't have all white furniture. We're still working on furniture layouts and what works best. You know, we can say that we're working to get power to every seat in the library. You know, that's important these days. And a variety of furniture types, because not everyone likes the same chair. And then important to our work at Quinn Evans, and important from what we've heard from the library and site committee that we're working with on the project, is what's the impact of the new building. Looking to understand what our sustainability features that are going to be incorporated, or that we're studying to decide if they are incorporated in the building. So I think, Aaron, did you do our sun study? So Aaron did the sun study here that we're showing on the map, that's at summer solstice, 9 AM, noon, and 3 PM. And we like to do these so that we can start to understand where we need to be focused on our glass type or our shading and what we can add on. And so this is a study in progress to help us inform as we refine the design of the building. But really that daylighting is the focus of what we're doing. We are currently in completed what we call our schematic design phase, which is this initial work before we start really selecting finishes and fixtures, and then start the technical documentation like this. So that's why we're here today, to get some feedback on the fit and the feel of the spaces so we can carry that in. Also at the end of schematic design is where we're doing our first pricing check on this, and having an estimator come in and do a pricing check so we know how we fit against the budget, and we can also have them look and price some added things. So we're under consideration on a new site to look at geothermal for heating and cooling source. We have a big parking lot, we have an outdoor, there's plenty of space to put that into the ground and to use that energy. It's a first price question versus a long time utility question. And we're getting those options priced out so we can understand those. Also interested in looking at the impact of, we have a lot of flat roof on this project, and if we use that for solar, what is the bang for the buck for using solar on the building and having that power quality with it. We're looking at the carbon going into the building, and looking at our structural systems to evaluate cost and compare that also with what's the environmental concerns of using, say, wood, steel throughout the building. And then in sustainability, we think accessibility is a part of that, making a building that's sustainable for the community for a long time. Looking at all the places accommodating different abilities, what are the spaces in there? We will have restrooms that are very close to the entrance, because we know this is a future park site, and we expect that there may be some traffic for the restrooms, not the rest of the library. So we want to make sure that it's not all the way at the other end of the library. So those are very close, but then also accommodating a family restroom next to the youth area, and also accommodating a unisex restroom that has an adult changing table. So when people come with elderly or teens or anyone they're traveling with their family who may need assistance in the restroom, we have that, and we are accommodating that for people. Looking at understanding pedestrian access and bike paths and bike racks. We're looking to the other snow. We look at the site that there is the bike trail that comes. It is at the corner of, Third and 11th Mile. How do we get those people safely to the library as well? Daylighting, as we said, from that study shown, and then looking at running in terms of our energy model and our life cycle cost analysis. What we're doing now in terms of thinking about that long-term sustainability, maintenance of what we put into the field. It's also to keep part of that in terms of both the furniture that we put in, and then carbon is set by the so that we're putting in something that's very durable and sustainable. That takes us to a much shorter section now on the site, and the site for community activity. And we think a exciting part of this piece is that the library is here situated at what can become a future park for the township. People who've been here for a long time know that for a very long time this has been thought of as a site for a future park, and hopefully in having the library here and bringing people here, that's something that can start gathering momentum for consideration for the township for the future. So right now, we have just an initial, it's a layout, it's a future part, these are things that could happen on the site. It's not, they haven't been delineated as this is where they're gonna happen for sure, or this is what's gonna be here for sure. And there's not a timeline on those items, but we've kept the library in such a position so that the rest of the site could accommodate courts and fields, the amphitheater, the nature area. We know there's a conservation easement. And we know with the recent development that's gonna happen by the site, was the top trails through that easement. And the paving of 11 mile. Playground, we have it on here and hoping that that would be very much used by library. Their kids, hopefully a playground that would be close to the library. The 100-year floodplain.
Yeah.
So the 100-year floodplain is the line that, as we look at building, we really want to stay out of. Because if we don't stay out of it, we have special construction or we're building up over it. And then we're impacting the floodplain, and so we're going through a lot of permitting. What we're having to do with that. So you'll see that the library has a very large front yard on Milford Road because of that. Impact on that. Yes, it'll make a quieter building. It's not a bad thing to have a nice front yard. Off of there. Nothing. The entry drive is really the only spot for the entry drive. From looking at the studies coming north and south, the distances from the intersection and improvements that will have to be made along Milford Road are included into this project and then getting across. Current design and the project is to build out a parking lot that will serve the library, but also has a lot of excess capacity to serve a future park. So much more than just the library, and has space to accommodate potential food trucks. So finally, that takes us to a look ahead of project timeline. Currently, we just put out a proposal looking for a construction manager. That's it's construction manager on there to get proposals back from a construction manager who will help through the rest of the process in terms of estimating the timeline and constructability of looking at the project. They will be bidding the project then out to multiple sub-consultants, so we will be getting competitive bidding. But it'll give us some opportunity to look at those sub-consultants and trade back and forth if someone is local or we work with them a lot and we really value them. We can have that transparency and decide that it is worth $200 more to hire one or the other, and but we're still getting that competitive bidding through it. Someone else. We're working through our documents. Like I said, we just finished schematic design and are moving into what we call design development and then construction documents. So that we're finishing out this year, just with the start of next year, the documents we can actually be bid, which we've scheduled in here for March. We'll work more with the construction manager on that. And then looking at groundbreaking in May of next year. The question about the floodplain, and the wetlands, there are wetlands on the site. So while we are working to stay out of them and not impact them, especially, and the road work will need to go through permitting, state permitting. So that is an unknown in terms of working to get documents in this fall, so that that can be on track. It's a 6-month review time, so that we are set to be reviewed, but that's sort of our unknown quantity in this timeline. And then again, we'll see with our construction manager, but our goal would be to be really next summer through next winter. To have a goal. So for those in the room and for those who then are on the Zoom, and we'll get the information in an email with a link to see this activity. We have a look and feel activity with some choices about images. What are your top 3 on here? This is all done now that with QR code. You need to borrow a device to do a QR code. I have that. If the library can probably help you if you have to get that printed, but we have that activity with the QR code here. And when you go into that, you will also be seeing these images, so you don't have to look at the boards to do that activity. And it will all be emailed to people in the room as well. So you can digest it through that activity later to see. And provide comments on the plan and some look and feel images. We also, this goes through, so we have youth spaces that we're looking for people for what's the top 3 that appeal. Looking at reading and study spaces. This trying to have some different images, so different looking and feel spaces. And the library. There's a plan on that survey again to talk about what are the spaces that can be listed, what we think we're going to use or like with our library, and the space survey is sort of added on this. The final activity that we have here in the room that links will also be out and emailed to people and on the website is an option to, again, the QR code world is here to look in 3D through some of the spaces. So you can look at the QR code and you can look around the outside or the inside of the building. Or if you're so inclined, you can look at the QR code, and we have a few of these viewers that you put your phone into. And then if you don't get too queasy, you can really look in 3D inside the building and outside the building. So
if you got to do it, just do it.
Yeah. Don't do that, but all of us can help and explain, and really, yeah, and Lindy and mastermind a lot of this with my input, so they are both here to hear feedback and answer questions. And if there's some general questions, then go back. And I'm happy to take questions from the audience, and then we can see if there's some questions on the chat or not. Or if there's people online who want to put a question in the chat, we will look.
So, question for you, and maybe also for Holly. So the current collection, how full will the new library be with what you laid out in terms of shelf and space and everything else? Is it half full, 3/4 full? Is it room for expansion? Or will the collection be able to grow? How is the match of collection versus what's been laid out?
So I don't have the exact percent calculation on me, but we do have a spreadsheet that has looked at that. And what we have looked at is the current collection, all of the current collection could be shelved, which is usually not the case, because you assume that a fair chunk of your, say 20% of your collection is out circulating. And then we have some expansion. Not a great deal of expansion, but some expansion. You can see we have high shelving in here to accommodate the collection. This library today has a lot of collection, stock full, very tight, into a very small space. And so what this building is giving you is space for that collection to breathe, and you feel like you can really enjoy browsing the collection, and you have places to sit and study and meet with people and do activities and all the other things libraries are doing. Children can have a play area and grab their books. And so the collection is not shrinking, and there is room for expansion, but it's not like this is half the collection, and you're gonna be able to double it.
Cause, well, Brian, one of the things that we do know is that for the size of the community that we have, and we're technically called like a class 4 library. The public libraries are set up into class sizes based on population size. Is that the collection that we have is actually pretty right sized for our community. You just can only see part of it because if we're, we have one of our pages says it's like a corn maze in here. And so like it's so crowded, it doesn't really lend towards shelf browsing and spending time and being able to take that collection and spread it out, that I feel that people will be able to engage with it more. Also, one of the things that happens is when you build a new library is you explode your circulation, you explode your library card holders, which is great because more people in your community come and use the library. Which means more of our stuff will be gone all the time because it's coming in and out, and that will allow us to expand as well. But I know that certainly for our families who have young children, the biggest area that needs to be expanded collection wise is in our youth area. We definitely need to expand that. We are literally boxed into that little corner over there, and so, but that is the area that will probably expand most.
Great, thank you.
Would you be developing security?
We have. Well, we'll have a secure door at the staff area and into the staff area. The library will be open with the vestibule, and then we have both of the meeting rooms have second means of egress, and at youth and teen and adult, there's added egress doors. To get out. Otherwise, in terms of security, there'll be cameras by the building. Yeah.
So I can also mention that we're actually working with security experts on the best things that we can have within the buildings to keep the community safe. Whether it looks like for keyless entry or when it comes to the cameras, what the cameras can detect. So yeah, we are working with people. So a lot of that will probably be more on the technology side, though they are working with us also for any suggested changes on the floor plan when we're done, but mostly it'll be technology that will.
Where is the genealogy area?
The genealogy area is this room here.
And there won't be room for all the books except special collection?
Yes,
The
this
books
is,
will be out of the room.
this is all shelving within here, and then cabinet
But that doesn't
shelving
begin
in
here.
there.
The collection is here, so some of it's gonna be out in.
I think we are fitting all the collection that has been requested. To go with that.
There's very little of the collection that's actually circulating, but the circulating collection will be out somewhere else because this will be a locked room that will be used by appointment, so we don't want a circulating collection that's kept behind a locked door, but the rest of our materials that don't circulate will be in that room, so they'll be secured.
Will that room be open other than when Kathy's here?
They will have to be open when there's staff available. It doesn't mean necessarily that it would be Kathy, who is our staff genealogist, but that we haven't figured all of that out yet. That will be a couple of years down the road to
What about-
figure out.
What about the friends?
The friends area here is shelving and then a storage space with it and a seating area outside it, so people who are coming to meetings
Oh, I see.
or not can come and easily sit and browse the friends collection there. And near the desk, if they're purchasing after the desk.
Are there any plans, because we're a growing community? And I know you wanted to build a place originally for the community we mentioned and go. Is there any room on there for expansion and future?
Yeah, in the. We had that on 39, over there, it's on this one. So we have stayed off of that north, so that's one reason that we are very tight in our drive up in
Right,
Book Lane, and a piece of that is because we have left that space for expansion to the north.
Does the whole entry drive always go past, like the window to pick up or return? Or is there? a window?
No, this is, the entry drive is here into the parking lot and
Okay.
be parking here. It's only that you specifically made an extra turn, or you were coming out and made a turn. It will be a one-way drive, so that they can get on, and we're also looking at here, a spot so that the deliveries have a place to pull off and park. Who are coming in the staff area with their deliveries.
Along those questions about would that be the parking for the park too?
Yes, that's parking lot for
Everything.
every.
Okay.
and we had one before this, we saw a ball field up in. Alright,
Yes,
that land is still owned, or is that only the Scorpions own that one square there?
yes,
So the rest would be used for.
that one square is not owned, the rest of this is all owned by the township.
And are they gonna develop the water that goes along that side, is that something they're gonna develop? Is that in plans, or just leave it natural right now?
That is all wetlands.
Yes.
So I think there's not a desire to develop
Answer the-
on the wetlands. And that's one of the reasons the entry is where it is
Right.
not up a wetland.
Something.
I'm assuming that the park will have its own restroom though, you mentioned them coming in and us having restrooms. for-
When there's input on the park, the park has. We just felt that instead it was safer to design for the residents to be close on that. The park is developed, a piece of the park is developed and the rest of the building is not.
Do you wanna read the question? Yeah, I'll go ahead and read some of the questions.
There's a shot over here.
Oh, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Oh, maybe I'm just not doing the math right, but one of the event area, the larger of the two. Pulls up to
120.
120, okay. I'm just thinking of traffic flow. And those 120 people are going to be bringing at the same time. And they've got one exit. Was it not feasible to put another entrance off of?
That is the only place off of Milford Road. And it's another $2 or $3 million to come across 11.
Okay.
So it was coming up. Well, you may have to browse a little and let the traffic die down before you leave, but we did not think that we're going to do another 3 million
Right.
just for an access. Come on,
So the first question is, will Milford Road be widened given the additional traffic entrances to the residential community, the bike club and the library? Can the speed limit be addressed? The current speed limit is 50 miles per hour.
I cannot comment on the speed limit, but I know that there is road widening at this entry that will meet the MDOT requirements for
Like a
for
right-
access and
right
road
in-
widening.
It's been hard to. It's a bridge here and everything.
So
Yeah,
yes,
it's
this
been-
has to, there has to be widening along. There has to be widening along the road for it to meet the permitting requirements, and so we will meet what's required in terms of a road widening. That's
There's a lot
in the
of traffic
project
turning
cost.
left to go south of Milford Road, and that speed limit is 50 miles an hour.
I don't see it happening without an accident. It's just like the light didn't go in at 11 mile an hour until there was an accident and somebody killed.
Okay, there were just a couple other comments, that very excited about the new library, and we thought of putting the spaces together to accommodate the summer reading program. 120 is not enough room. I assume they need the meeting for the event rooms.
Yeah, I think that when it comes to, like the bigger programs, as we have in this room, which can only accommodate so many people, we would do more than one event for really popular programs. But we didn't really want to give up for only a handful of programs throughout the year that we wanted to give more square footage for 10 hours out of the year for certain programs that would require that many people. And then we can have, you know, performers for multiple events like we do now. I also don't know if we really want more than 125 elementary school kids at the same time.
Organized chaos.
Yes.
Okay, there's just one more comment, very excited for the library as well, I agree. The above comment, which I think is the one about the 120 in one room, suggest an adult area in the back of the building, and put the event spaces together, so we're agreeing with that. The adults may want it a little quieter versus we and teen walking through their space. No, I do agree, and I think that's where we have ended up with our, while they're walking through the spaces, through that main division, probably the picture, another picture, how the collection lays out. And then it's at the far end, is where the study and seating for the adults really is, with the view out the Milton Road, or the view northeast in the end of the gable space. And we did keep the adults in that sort of gable space thing, because of thinking about acoustics and not in their quieter crowd, and having use of teen in a high gable space where they're a little louder, they're gonna have acoustic ceilings and be a little lower.
Only just to give some perspective, if anybody here has been to the Novi Public Library, and their large event space is really only accommodates maybe your 50, 60 more people than this room will. And Novi serves a much, much larger community than we do. So we really, for this size community and this size building, we went in big on these event spaces because we know that that's how our community uses the library, and they very much enjoy our events, but so we went big, so.
I think it's beautiful.
All right, well, we invite people up to look at pictures, tell us, or you can QR code and use a couple of activities if you want a QR code and look around a little more. You can QR code and look around.
We're gonna go for that.